Blockchain. It's a word you hear everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean? Well, beyond all the hype, it's a pretty revolutionary piece of technology. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how it works, what the different types are, and honestly, why you should even care.
You've probably heard blockchain tied to everything from cryptocurrencies to tracking where your coffee comes from. But to really get a handle on its power, you gotta look past all that noise and see the engine that's running underneath it all. So let's dive in and get to the core of it.
Okay, so at its heart, a blockchain is basically a shared digital notebook. But here's the game-changing part. This notebook isn't kept in one single place, like a bank server. Nope. A copy of it exists on thousands of computers all over the world. So if you wanted to change one little thing, you'd have to try and hack all of those computers at the exact same moment. That makes it incredibly secure and pretty much impossible to tamper with.
So how does this actually work in the real world? Well, you can think of it like a 5-step process. First, somebody requests a transaction. That request gets broadcast out to this huge network of computers, which we call nodes. Then, all these nodes basically vote to make sure the transaction is legit. Once they agree, the transaction gets bundled up with a bunch of others into a new block. And here's the really cool part. That new block gets digitally chained to the one before it, creating this permanent, unchangeable record. It's what creates trust without needing a bank or any other middleman.
But here's something that's really important to get. Blockchain isn't just one thing. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Depending on what you're trying to do, whether you need it to be totally open or completely locked down, there's a different flavor for the job. Let's explore that spectrum, starting with the two big ones, public versus private.
So on one end of the spectrum, you've got public blockchains. These are totally permissionless. Anybody with a computer can join in, see what's happening, and contribute. A great analogy is Wikipedia. On the complete opposite end, you have private blockchains, which are permissioned. A single company or organization is in charge, and they decide who gets access. It's more like a company's private internal server. This one difference, who's allowed in, completely changes the game for how they work and what they're good for.
The real superpower of a public blockchain is its security. And it's a special kind of security, sometimes called trustless. That doesn't mean you can't trust it. It means you don't have to trust any one person or company. You just trust the math and the code. With millions of people participating, no single person can control it, which makes it incredibly secure.
Okay, but all that amazing security, it comes at a price. Getting a global network of computers to all agree on something, well, it takes time. So transaction speeds can be pretty slow. Plus, some of them, especially big ones like Bitcoin, use a ton of electricity. This creates some real headaches when it comes to speed and handling lots of traffic.
And this is where private blockchains really shine. Because you have a much smaller, pre-approved group of participants, transactions can be confirmed almost instantly. They offer total privacy for sensitive business data, and the organization in charge has complete control over all the rules. You can see why big companies are so excited about this for things like managing their supply chains.
But, and this is a big but, by putting one entity back in charge, you kind of reintroduce the very problem blockchain was invented to solve. You have to trust a central authority again. The network is also less secure just because there are fewer computers protecting it. It's a trade-off. You get speed and control, but you lose that core principle of decentralization.
So you've got the wild open world of public and the walled garden of private. But what if you need something in between? What if you need a bit of both? Well, that's exactly the problem developers ran into, and it led to two really clever solutions that sit in the middle: hybrid and consortium blockchains.
A hybrid blockchain is, well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It lets a company run its own fast, private system for internal stuff, but also gives it a way to connect and interact with the public world when it needs to. They get to pick and choose what data stays private and what data gets put out there for everyone to see.
Then you've got the consortium blockchain. This is another really smart setup. Instead of just one company being in charge, a whole group of pre-selected organizations governs the network together. So imagine a handful of major banks all teaming up to run a shared ledger. It's decentralized, but only among the members of the club.
Okay, this chart really pulls it all together for us. You can see the whole landscape laid out right here. Just look at the relationship between who's in charge, the governance, and how fast things move. Public is totally decentralized, but slow. Private is centralized, but super fast. And hybrid and consortium, they land somewhere in the middle. It just goes to show there's no single best blockchain. It's all about picking the right tool for the job.
But the story doesn't stop with just the types of blockchains. The technology itself has been evolving like crazy. It all started with this idea for digital cash, but each new phase has added these powerful new capabilities, turning it from just a simple ledger into something, well, something much bigger.
You can really see the journey here. Blockchain 1.0, which really got going with Bitcoin, was all about one thing: creating a digital currency that nobody owned. Then came the next huge leap, Blockchain 2.0. This was led by platforms like Ethereum, which introduced this game-changing idea called smart contracts. And that brings us to today, the era of Blockchain 3.0, which is all about using those smart contracts to build DApps, decentralized applications, for just about anything you can imagine.
So what in the world are these smart contracts? Honestly, they're just little computer programs that live on the blockchain and follow a super simple rule. If this happens, then do that. For example, if the package is delivered, then release the payment. They just run automatically, no middleman needed. This one simple idea turned the blockchain from just a database into a kind of global, unstoppable computer.
And those smart contracts? They're the Lego bricks you use to build DApps, or decentralized apps. They can look and feel just like the apps on your phone, but the big difference is, instead of running on a server owned by Google or Facebook, their backend runs on the blockchain itself. That means they can't be easily shut down or censored, and it points to a future where we, the users, might have way more control over our own data.
So there you have it. That's our whirlwind tour of the blockchain landscape, from the four main types to how it's evolved over time. But as you can probably tell, this technology is really still in its early days.
If this stuff gets you excited and you want to go even deeper on complex tech topics like this one, you can find a whole bunch more explainers and free resources over on the CodeAccessHub YouTube channel.
We're all about making this kind of knowledge accessible to everyone, so we'd love to see you there.
Which brings us to one final thought to leave you with. We've watched blockchain grow from just digital cash to a programmable world computer. The next big challenge, what some people are calling Blockchain 4.0, is all about solving those last big hurdles like speed and making different blockchains talk to each other. So the real question isn't just what blockchain is today, but what amazing new things are going to be built when it finally reaches its full potential.